When humanity first stepped beyond their solar system, the galaxy laughed. Born on Earth, a brutal death world battered by seismic shifts, volcanic eruptions, fierce predators, and lethal solar radiation, humans had evolved under constant threat. What aliens called a death world was, to humanity, simply home. Yet, no one imagined the advantage such harsh origins granted. As soon as humans ventured into the stars, they encountered hostility. Alien empires, armed with weapons capable of vaporizing starships and piercing energy shields, fired first, fearing an invasion. But humanity's weakness became its strength. Lasers glanced harmlessly off their resilient skin. Plasma bolts, designed to melt armor, left humans mildly irritated, as if brushed by sparks. Kinetic weapons crumbled against bones adapted to Earth's punishing gravity. Poisons were ineffective against immune systems accustomed to microscopic wars. Humans were nearly invincible, not through technology, but by sheer evolutionary stubbornness. Word spread quickly across the galaxy. The humans were unstoppable. Diplomatic channels flooded with apologies and pleas for alliances. Former aggressors marveled as humans casually strolled unharmed through battlefields where alien armies wore impenetrable armor yet still perished. Humanity, once dismissed as fragile primitives from a chaotic planet, found itself feared and revered. Embracing their newfound role, humans forged peace through strength, becoming protectors and negotiators among the stars. They faced alien threats with a confident grin, knowing their greatest shield was the harsh cradle from which they'd risen. Earth, the death world, had shaped humans into weapons that no technology could surpass, and in doing so, gifted humanity dominance among the stars. In the years following, humanity's invulnerability had granted them dominion over the galaxy. That is until the Reapers emerged. An ancient, mechanical race, the Reapers wielded weapons surpassing any civilization known. Humanity's toughened skin, resilient bones, and hardened biology meant nothing against the Reapers' antimatter-based beams that effortlessly disintegrated entire planets. Faced with extinction, humanity had only one hope: strike from within. A small, desperate crew, consisting of mercenaries, engineers, thieves, led by Captain Kai Novak, set out on a final mission. The crew infiltrated the colossal Reaper flagship, cloaked by stolen alien stealth tech, slipping past sensors calibrated for organic threats, not metal debris. Inside, they discovered the Reaper's true vulnerability: a singular control core, shielded but still physically accessible. Unable to breach it conventionally, the team improvised. Using their environment, consisting of unshielded conduits and exposed magnetic stabilizers, the crew redirected the flagship's own antimatter energy back into the core. As alarms wailed, the crew held their ground, understanding survival wasn't an option. Kai calmly triggered the overload sequence, his team standing firm, guarding access points as defensive drones closed in. The antimatter surged violently inward, collapsing the control core and cascading destruction throughout the Reaper fleet's collective network. Without their central command, the vast, undefeatable armada stalled, their weapons falling silent, their systems inert. The victory exacted its cost. Humanity's heroes had knowingly traded their lives, not in defiance of physics, biology, or sentimentality, but through cold calculation and decisive action. In the end, their species' legendary toughness had meant little. Yet, their ingenuity, combined with ruthless pragmatism, secured humanity's survival, restoring their dominance in a galaxy forever changed by the silent wreckage of a threat that had nearly erased them. In the years following the decisive victory against the Reapers, Lyra Novak grew up overshadowed by the heroic legacy of her father, Captain Kai Novak. To humanity, he was a martyr, a legend. To Lyra, he was a ghost whose shadow dominated her every step. Her father's sacrifice had saved billions, yet left her alone, burdened by a legacy she neither wanted nor felt worthy of. Determined to escape his shadow, Lyra abandoned Earth, living anonymously on frontier worlds. She rejected everything connected to her father's heroics, choosing instead an isolated life as a miner on a remote asteroid colony, far from stories of glory. Yet solitude offered little peace. Resentment simmered within her, directed equally at humanity's praise and her own inability to measure up. When disaster struck the colony, a violent collapse trapping workers deep underground, Lyra faced a choice. Survival depended on reaching a risky, inaccessible emergency beacon located beneath layers of unstable rock. Others hesitated, unwilling or unable to risk the dangerous passage, but Lyra, driven not by heroics but necessity, volunteered without fanfare. Navigating darkness and crushing pressure, Lyra found herself stripped bare of illusions. No legends would protect her now, only her skills, her will, her clarity. Inch by inch, she forced herself forward, repairing fractured supports, improvising makeshift solutions. Finally, bleeding and exhausted, Lyra reached the beacon, activating it moments before the tunnel collapsed completely, nearly burying her alive. When rescuers finally arrived, they found Lyra alive, changed not by heroism, but by confronting her own raw capabilities. As she emerged, covered in dust and blood, she realized that true strength wasn't inherited, it came from facing oneself without excuses. Lyra Novak had no need to escape shadows any longer. In the cold silence beneath the rock, she'd forged an identity defined not by her father's legend, but by her own quiet, unyielding resolve. Years after the asteroid collapse, Lyra Novak led a small outpost on Geras 9, a remote, inhospitable colony world. Her past struggles forged quiet strength, guiding a fragile community through uncertainty. But peace shattered when an ancient alien beacon beneath Geras 9 activated, revealing an archive filled with secrets predating the Reapers, exposing unsettling truths. Lyra told no one, sensing humanity wasn't ready. Yet days later, assassins struck, narrowly failing to kill her in her quarters. Shaken, Lyra fled underground, pursued relentlessly by agents of her own species, humans loyal to an unseen, powerful force. Isolated and hunted, she pieced together fragments of intel. Humanity had long been infiltrated by remnants of the ancient beings who created the Reapers, manipulating mankind to ensure galactic chaos continued indefinitely. Determined, Lyra risked returning to the surface, trying desperately to expose the conspiracy. But every ally she approached turned traitor or victim. Humanity had been compromised so deeply that trust itself became lethal. Outmaneuvered at every turn, she was forced into hiding, watching helplessly as the knowledge she guarded vanished beneath layers of calculated deception. Ultimately, Lyra uncovered the dark heart of infiltration too late. Humanity's greatest strength, adaptability, had become its weakness, exploited masterfully by ancient puppeteers. In a desperate final effort, Lyra transmitted fragments of evidence into the void. Knowing it was futile, humanity had already rejected truth for comfortable ignorance. Hunted, exhausted, and abandoned, Lyra retreated into solitude on a forgotten moon, resigned to silence. Her struggle ended not in triumph, but defeat. Knowing humanity's invulnerability had hidden a deeper vulnerability, exploited from within. She carried alone the burden of a truth lost, watching helplessly as her species drifted unknowingly back toward darkness. Decades after humanity ignited a ruthless war for interstellar dominance, Jack Wren, a low-level technician stationed aboard an orbital relay, spent endless shifts sorting through intercepted data streams. Humanity had long forgotten peace. Their invulnerability turned aggressively outward, seizing worlds and crushing resistance. One lonely shift, Jack intercepted a faint transmission, fragmented and barely intelligible. Curiosity stirred him. The message spoke of manipulation, hidden enemies, and humanity's quiet infiltration, words from someone named Lyra Novak. Jack had never heard the name, yet her voice carried gravity, urgency, and bitterness of failure. Initially skeptical, Jack quietly pieced together the scattered fragments, driven by a nagging instinct. Days passed in tense secrecy. Slowly, Lyra's desperate warning emerged. Humanity had long been pawns, infiltrated and manipulated by ancient entities thriving on perpetual conflict. The transmission detailed humanity's sabotage from within, hidden beneath the veneer of strength and conquest. Burdened by knowledge, Jack faced a choice: Revealing it would brand him a traitor. Suppressing it felt like betrayal. He chose defiance, attempting to broadcast Lyra's message openly, but his transmission was intercepted immediately by security drones loyal to compromised leaders, alerting the hidden manipulators who still pulled humanity's strings. Captured and imprisoned, Jack waited for death, despair settling deep until alarms blared and explosions shook the facility. Cell doors flew open, chaos erupting and hallways flooded with smoke. Through the haze emerged a figure, older yet unmistakably determined, Lyra Novak herself, weapon drawn, eyes hardened by years of isolation.
Get up.
She ordered, pulling Jack to his feet.
We have work to do.
As they fled into the darkened corridors, Jack felt a spark of hope reignite. Humanity had chosen ignorance, but not everyone had surrendered. With Lyra alive, the fight was far from over. Jack followed Lyra through hidden routes and derelict outposts, each step deeper into humanity's forsaken territories. Age hadn't softened Lyra, instead, it sharpened her, turning regret into ruthless clarity. Jack, young and driven but inexperienced, quickly learned survival from the woman who once embodied humanity's lost integrity. As they traveled, Lyra revealed the depths of humanity's infiltration, the insidious presence woven into every layer of authority, military and political alike. Humanity was powerful, yet enslaved, puppets to entities thriving on perpetual war. But she had uncovered a vulnerability, an ancient control nexus, hidden beneath Earth's irradiated wastelands, shielded from humanity's arrogance and neglect. Their journey was brutal, hunted by relentless security forces. Trust became their most precious resource. Lyra tested Jack constantly, pushing him beyond limits he never imagined. Under her guidance, Jack transformed from technician to operative, forced by circumstance into the same harsh resilience Lyra once mastered. When they reached Earth, they descended through abandoned cities reclaimed by twisted nature, pushing through scorched ruins to the buried nexus. Inside, Lyra revealed her plan. Not sabotage, nor war, but a final, irreversible shutdown of humanity's manipulated technological backbone. It would cripple the war effort, but also plunge humanity into chaos, stripping away every comfortable lie. Jack hesitated briefly, knowing the cost, but Lyra's determination offered no doubt. Together, they activated the sequence, dismantling centuries of deceit in an instant. As global systems collapsed, chaos erupted overhead, humanity exposed and directionless, for the first time in generations. Lyra, exhausted yet vindicated, turned to Jack.
Now,
she said quietly.
Humanity has a real choice.
They emerged together into the uncertain dawn, carrying the burden of a truth forced violently back into humanity's unwilling hands. Hoping this time, the species would learn to choose differently. In the wake of the catastrophic collapse, humanity reeled, cut off from the systems that once guided their endless wars. With fleets stranded and infrastructure shattered, a new, cautious leadership emerged from the chaos, led by General Area Locke, a former war commander turned reluctant diplomat. Locke, faced with ruin, navigated the fractured remains of human civilization. Without artificial manipulation, humanity was vulnerable for the first time. The galaxy responded swiftly, uniting to exile humans from the interstellar community, deeming them too dangerous, too compromised to trust. Yet Locke refused to spare. Amidst harsh isolation, she sought counsel from Jack and Lyra, now hidden advisors. Lyra's deep knowledge of the infiltrators provided insights. Jack's technical expertise allowed the reconstruction of essential, untainted communication networks. Under Locke's pragmatic guidance, humanity refocused inward, salvaging and repairing devastated worlds. Decades of aggression had isolated them politically, but the forced solitude became an unlikely opportunity. They developed sustainable ecosystems, rebuilt fractured communities, and replaced invulnerability with resourcefulness. Though the expulsion from galactic society stung, Locke recognized opportunity within exile. Humanity would no longer conquer worlds but rebuild its own, breaking cycles of exploitation. Slowly, a civilization arose, tempered by self-reliance and wary peace. From the quiet shadows, Lyra and Jack watched humanity shift, cautiously optimistic. Humanity had finally stopped looking outward for dominance, forced to reckon honestly with their violent past. What emerged was a species humbled but wiser, ready, if reluctantly, to reclaim a more patient, thoughtful place among the stars. Centuries passed since humanity's exile, its isolation breeding myths of a once fearsome race, now reduced to legend. Galactic civilizations flourished, forgetting humanity and the warnings that Lyra Novak had once desperately tried to share. But the forgotten enemy, architects of the Reapers, finally emerged, a merciless cosmic force known only as the Void Architects, devouring entire civilizations. Star by star, the galaxy fell silent, resistance crushed beneath incomprehensible power. Amid the ruins, a lone emissary, Zaylan Kor, one of the last surviving galactic navigators, resolved to reach humanity. Legends whispered that humans had once thwarted the Reapers. Perhaps their strength could again turn the tide. Zaylan raced toward Earth, pursued relentlessly by shadowy hunter ships. Wounded, exhausted, he navigated through forgotten starfields and perilous void rifts, driven solely by hope. Reaching humanity became his obsession, his final mission. When his crippled ship finally entered Earth's solar system, Zaylan crashed violently upon the planet's barren surface, crawling from the wreckage toward faint signs of civilization. Humans emerged, wary and hardened from centuries alone. Gathering the last of his strength, Zaylan delivered his warning. The Void Architects were coming, unstoppable without humanity's aid. The crowd murmured skepticism, but among them stood a descendant of General Locke, Commander Elias Locke, leader of Earth's renewed military forces. Elias met Zaylan's desperate gaze, understanding immediately the gravity of his plea. Humanity had faced exile, self-inflicted ruin, and centuries of solitude. But now, redemption called. With silent resolve, Elias extended his hand to the fallen navigator. Humanity's isolation had ended. Once more summoned to defend a galaxy that had once rejected them, their purpose returned clearer than ever before. Galactic civilization stood on the brink, its combined fleets decimated, the Void Architects' immense dreadnoughts poised to erase the last remnants of resistance. Alien races, once proud and defiant, now awaited inevitable annihilation. Yet, amidst the quiet despair, an unfamiliar signal pulsed through the void, steady, rhythmic, terrifyingly primal. All eyes turned toward the blackness as sensors frantically registered something impossible. A lone human battleship, the Vanguard, surging into the fray, radiating defiance. Before confusion could settle, thousands upon thousands of projectiles burst from the Vanguard, streaking toward the enemy in silent fury. Galactic commanders watched, stunned, as these projectiles, human warriors clad in minimal armor, crashed violently into Void Architect vessels, breaching hulls with explosive force. Human bodies, evolved for a harsh, relentless world, survived impacts no other species could endure. Inside enemy ships, chaos erupted. Void Architect defenses were calibrated against energy weapons, drones, and missiles, not flesh and blood juggernauts storming corridors barehanded. Humanity's raw brutality, tempered by centuries on their unforgiving world, proved devastatingly effective. Architects fell swiftly, overwhelmed by warriors whose strength and ferocity defied comprehension. In mere hours, the unstoppable enemy fleet lay crippled, shattered by human tenacity. As surviving aliens watched in awe, Commander Elias Locke's voice echoed across the battered remnants of galactic civilization, calm yet firm.
Humanity stands not for dominance, but defiance. Remember this.
The Architects defeated, humanity reclaimed its place. Not as conquerors, but as protectors forged by a death world, finally embracing their true legacy. Guardians, once feared, now saviors of a galaxy humbled by humanity's fierce return.